Nana, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, but I just got back from England, so I have to self-isolate for 2 weeks and it was very boring.
Oh, that sounds bad. I hope you stay safe and don't catch the coronavirus.
Hopefully, thank you.
Oh yeah, I'm calling you today because I'm gonna tell you that the pandemic was very bad. My boy keeps saying that he hear from inside the government.
Oh my god, really? Worse than we all know?
Of course, and the worst thing that's gonna happen to us is that we can't go to Cambodia as we told in John Matt.
Sounds worse than the pandemic, right?
Huh. Oh, Nana, I need to go to work now. Can you tell the order and cancel the tickets?
Yeah, of course.
And one more thing, you don't have to feel bad because today my show is gonna be about Cambodia. It's gonna be like you travel by yourself, just don't miss it.
Oh, okay. What channel again?
It's 361, it should be on TV now, I guess.
Okay, so talk to you later. Bye.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our program, Explore the World with Moomin. The TV show is gonna take you to explore the history of every part and every country in the world. To not waste your time too much, today I'm going to take you guys to explore one of the Southeast Asian countries. Let's say it's our neighborhood country and it's not difficult to travel to. Let's begin our journey to Cambodia.
The Kingdom of Cambodia is a country located in the southern portions of the Indochina Peninsula in Southeast Asia. The area of the country is 181,035 square kilometers. The sovereign state of Cambodia has a population of over 15 million people. The capital and the largest city is Phnom Penh, the political, economic, and cultural centers of Cambodia. The kingdom is an elective constitutional monarchy with a monarch. Currently, it is Norajom Sihamoni, chosen by the royal cousins of the throne as the head of the state. The head of the government is the prime minister named Hun Sen.
So, what is the colonialism? Colonialism can be defined as control by one power over a dependent area or people and exploiting them. The country that takes over another country is forcing people by its own language and culture. Colonialism started from the empire like the ancient Roman, ancient Greece, and ancient Egypt. These civilizations all extend their borders into surrounding and non-contiguous areas from about 1550 BC onward. However, in modern colonialism, it began as the age of discovery. In the beginning of 15th century, that there was a technology that helped to discovery. At first, it was only Portugal and Spain that explored the land, and then France and Britain began their empire building overseas, fighting Spain and Portugal for the right to lands that they had already conquered. France's interest in Indochina in the 19th century grew out of its rivalry with Britain, which had excluded it from India and had effectively shut it out of other parts of mainland Southeast Asia. In 1862, French dominion established over Saigon, the province in Vietnam, and over the three eastern provinces of the Cochin China, or Mekong Delta. So, how Cambodia related to colonialism? Before this, I will give you the word of protectorate first, because Cambodia is more like in the protection of the powerful country. So, what is protectorate? It is like the protect state, which in the state ruled by the local, but the whole country is ruled by the independent state. But independent state had no power in military, just only govern. And the weak agreed to be under the country that powerful and can protect them. So the protectorate and colonialism is similar that both of them control the others, but its difference is how it rules. In fact, in 1863, Cambodia just needed protection, so they signed a treaty with France as Cambodia will be as French protectorate. However, before 1863, Cambodia mainly served as a vassal territory for either the Thai or Vietnamese governments to own. King Norodom, Cambodia's king, seeking to end this cycle and gain power for Cambodia, signed a protection treaty with France. France viewed Cambodia as a buffer zone between southern Vietnam and the British ally Siam. They hoped that by signing the treaty, they would be protecting their own interests in southern Vietnam. In turn, Cambodia relied on French protection to stop Vietnamese invasion on the eastern border. This treaty lasted until 1953, though the relationship was not always harmonious. So our group think that Cambodia they don't know how to do the way to end the cycle of being under the others, so they has to be under France.
King Norodom Sihanouk was the grandson of King Sisuwat Muniwong, who reigned from 1927 to 1941. King Sihanouk was 18 years old when he succeeded King Muniwong, and Cambodia was still a French colony. Although France annoyed Sihanouk for the position, in part because Paris thought he would be politically tractable, Sihanouk successfully achieved Cambodia's independence from France in 1953, and the country became the Kingdom of Cambodia. In 1955, he founded his own political party and won a referendum and abdicated in favor of his father, becoming the new monarch prime minister, foreign prime minister, and subsequently permanent representative to the United Nations. 5 years later, after the death of his father, he accepted the role of head of the state. Sihanouk was enraged by his dismissal from his exile in Peking. He soon aligned himself with China, North Vietnam, and the concealed Cambodian Communist movement, which he had earlier nicknamed the Khmer Rouge. Following the Khmer Rouge takeover of Cambodia in 1975, Sihanouk returned home only to be put under house arrest. Under dictatorship Pol Pot, a 4-year reign of terror ensued during which more than 1 million Cambodians were killed. Sihanouk was released in January 1979 because Khmer Rouge system was falling to Vietnamese military force and needed an advocate in the United Nations. In September 1993, following UN-sponsored election the previous May, Cambodia's National Assembly voted to restore the monarchy, and Sihanouk once again became king. His son served as first prime minister until 1997, when he was overthrown in a coup by Hun Sen, who nevertheless left Sihanouk on the throne. The Sihanouk of the 1990s was still energetic and ambitious, but the CPP Prime Minister held the real power and gave the restored king limited authority. Under this restriction, he spent much of his time in Peking. In 2004, he abdicated the throne for the second time and was succeeded by his son, Norodom Sihamuni. Sihanouk is inseparable from the history of 20th century Cambodia, and a balanced evaluation of his 70 years long political career is difficult to assemble. He certainly overshadowed the country in his year in power in the 1950s and 1960s. And in that period, he strove the world state with favor, confidence, but he also made many serious mistakes, such as supporting the Khmer Rouge. Lon Non was a Cambodian general and prime minister. best known for leading a coup against Norodom Sihanouk in 1970. The coup in 1970 first experiment with Republican government. This move is believed to have to power struggle that would tear the country apart, leading to civil war, the subsequent Khmer Rouge takeover, millions of deaths, and 10 years of Vietnamese occupation. Lon Non was born into an affluent family. His father a high-ranking public servant. Lon Non became a Francophile, educated in French-speaking school, and employed by French colonial regime. At various times, Lon Non was a bureaucrat, a magistrate, and regional deputy governor. After World War II, he joined the military to fight against communist insurgents. He was later appointed the chief of the Cambodian army in 1955 and national defense minister in 1960. Lon Non became Sihanouk's deputy prime minister in 1963 and prime minister in 1966. His working relationship with Sihanouk was strained and difficult. Sihanouk wanted Cambodia to remain a neutral and possible, avoiding Cold War alliances and intrigues. Lon Non, however, was pro-Western and openly called to support the United States. Tensions between the two leaders was during mid-1969, after the United States planned bombing eastern Cambodia. In March 1970, Sihanouk embarked on a global tour that included visits to Paris, Moscow, Beijing, and Hanoi. Lon Non used Sihanouk's absence to depose him, claiming emergency power and control the governance. In October 1970, he proclaimed himself president of the newly created Khmer Republic. As supports of communists grew, Cambodia fell into a state of civil war, and Lon Non lost the confidence of his American backer. He resigned and fled the country in April 1975 after receiving $1 million. He spent the rest of his life exiled in Indonesia, Hawaii, and California, dying in November 1985. Sihanouk got support from Communist China via the Communist Party of Cambodia, which was led by Pol Pot. They fought for Sihanouk to regain his power. Pol Pot was a political leader whose communist Khmer Rouge government led Cambodia from 1975 to 1929. During that time, an estimated 1.5 to 2 million Cambodians died of starvation, execution, disease, or overwork. The Khmer Rouge, in their attempt to socially engineer a cashless communist society, took particular aim at intellectuals, city residents, ethnic Vietnamese, civil servants, and region leaders. Some historians regard the Pol Pot regime as one of the most barbaric and murderous in recent history. Millions of people living in Cambodia were killed during the brutal regime of Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge. Hun Sen has been the most successful Cambodian political leader because he modeled himself closely on Sihanouk. Sihanouk owed his political status to his birth and his achievement of independence from France. Hun Sen can only avert to his role in freeing Cambodia from the Khmer Rouge through alliance with Vietnam. After the fall of the Khmer Rouge, Vietnam appointed Hun Sen as the foreign minister of the People's Republic of Campuchia. Hun Sen and his party, now named the Cambodian People's Party, participated in UN monitor election in 1993. The CPP lost to the Loyalist Party, led by Norodom Narin, but Hun Sen refused to step down. After King Norodom Sihanouk intervened, Hun Sen managed to remain in power, and the CPP preserved much of its political dominance, particularly in rural areas. Both political parties continued jockeying for power and military supremacy, and competed to recruit the remnants of Khmer Rouge into their own military factions, leading the eruptions of violent street battle in 1997 that forced Norodom Narin to flee the country, with its primary opposition badly weakened. The CPP won the second national elections in 1998, and Hun Sen had held power ever since. Cambodia's role in World War I. There were no major invasion or region by hostile power like other countries in Southeast Asia. Back in 1914, the first dispatch to Phnom Penh for France required 405,000 Cambodians to join the French war effort. Cambodian soldiers left their home for war, serving for France during the First World War as a member of 7th Battalion of Indo-Chinese. The smaller Cambodian volunteer contingent helped defend their colonial ruler under the last banner of Indo-Chinese Army, which also included Vietnamese and Laotians. Many of the volunteers were intellectuals who thought that if Indochina showed support France, then they would gain independence more easily. However, most who volunteered were poor. Workers could have earned more money each workday as a bonus. So, in the end, they were better off financially. Empirical evidence suggests Cambodians fought for France in the regions of Champagne as well as the Battle of Chamadema and on the battlefront of Macedonia in 1917. In the First World War, 2,000 Cambodian volunteers were sent to the fleet to fight to support their colonial rulers. Many did not return. Most of Cambodia's World War I casualties occurred in amendment facilities, while the number of Cambodians who died serving France in the war is unknown. Some commanders estimated that 115,000 of the total 545,000 colonial soldiers died in battle, a 20% death rate compared to 15% of European troops.
Let's take a break here.
Hello everybody, I am Grace from Cambodia. Today I'm gonna teach you guys some of the basic words that Cambodia people use it with its command language. So the first one, if you wanna say hello, you just say Su Sode, which means hello. And then if you wanna say how are you in command language, you just say Suk Sabai Te. And then the last one, if you want to say thank you, you just say Okon, which it means thank you. So that's it for today. Okon. Cambodian national costume is called Sampot. Fabric is often made of silk or cotton. Sampot for women are similar to the Panung of Laos and Thailand. It varies patterns according to the social class of the Cambodians. If it's used on a daily basis, they're mostly used in expensive materials which are shipped from Japan. If it is luxurious, it is woven with a silver and gold thread. Cambodian people believe about superstition. Superstition almost runs parallel to the religion in Cambodia, with the belief of spirits, superpowers, and they also believe in gods. A factor that perhaps explains Cambodians, it is about their obsession with the hollow food. When we are talking about the ancestor, we are offering to the dead, as many Asian cultures. The respect to the ancestor is very strong in Cambodia, but one thing that is very important, that is the food that offered to them.
because the Cambodian believe that their soul can feel the hunger. When you build a house, you have to ask permission to the spirit of the land. Nobody goes to live in the new house if there are not previous ceremony to the honor of the spirit of the land. The ceremony includes food for the spirit, incense, and the holy water spreading.
Cambodian people are religious without Buddhism.
97% of the population following Theravada Buddhism, and the majority of Cambodians practice their religion, including the younger generations. Monks are respected, pagodas litter the country, and the temples are attended during the religious holidays.
Welcome back. Let's continue to explore our journey.
After World War I, there was World War II, which lasted long 6 years, from 1939 to 1945. It affected around the world, and of course, it affected to Cambodia. So, in 1941, Japanese forces had already occupied some states of French Indochina. At that time, France elected Norodom Sihanouk, an inexperienced king from the weaker Cambodian house, in the belief that he would submit to French will. Because of the young age of Norodom, which he was only 18 years old, so it could be easily to control him. But the French was wrong. It was wrong idea. In the long run, the French underestimated Sihanouk's political skills. But for the others of World War II, he was a pliable instrument in their hand. The effect of the Japanese occupation was overthrow of the French administration in March 1945, when the war was nearing its end, provide Cambodians with some opportunities for greater political autonomy. Pressed by the Japanese to do so, Sihanouk declared his country's independence, and for several months, the government was led by Son Ngoc Tan, a politician and also a nationalist who had been forced into exile in Japan in 1942. Because he was in a group of rebellion, but he also can go back to Cambodia, which Sihanouk agreed with his going back. In October 1945, after the war was over, the French returned to Indochina, arrested Son Ngoc Tan, and re-established their control. Cambodia soon became an autonomous state within the French Union, with its own constitution and a handful of political parties. But the real power remained in French hands. However, there were several significant political developments between 1945 and the achievement of complete independence in 1953. The most important of which was the confrontation between Sihanouk and his advisor on the one hand, and the leaders of the pro-independence Democratic Party, which dominated the National Assembly, on the other.
About a group resisting the colonial powers. The issue began after the French protectorate in Cambodia that Cambodians, led by Prince Sihanouk, want to declare their independence from France. However, it wasn't done easily. At the same time that Prince Sihanouk was placed to be a king of Cambodia, there was the Second World War. As my friend already explained, what happened to France in the war was that France was invaded by Germany. Japan, as the ally of Germany, took advantage of France's weakness to take over Cambodia and indirectly forced Prince Sihanouk to declare independence from France in 1945. However, after Japan surrendered to the United States, France recovered and took charge of Cambodia again. In the first declaration of independence of Cambodia, a man named Son Ngoc Tan, was involved. After France took charge in Cambodia, he was arrested and sent to exile in France. While he was away, his supporters regrouped in the northern part of the Cambodia in the name of Khmer Issarak. It then was known as the Khmer Issarak movement, or the movement of the leftist Cambodians who resist the French occupation in Cambodia. Due to the threat of this movement, Prince Sihanouk decided to negotiate with the French for the independence. At that time, it still was not successful, but the French let the Cambodians form another political party in 1946. At this point, there were two main political parties in Cambodia that opposed to each other. Democratic Party, which led by Prince U Taewong, and the Liberal Party that led by Prince Sihanouk. Of course, the French was likely to support the Liberal Party. After the first election was held and the Democratic Party won, there were some conflicts of trusting going on inside the Democratic Party itself, also the censure against the Prime Minister. From this circumstance, Prince Sihanouk decided to sign a treaty with France, which allowed some parts of Cambodia to have independence and have their own power. The parts that I was talking about are Battambang and Siem Reap province that could self-govern without French interference. However, France wanted to maintain their military operation because Vietnam and Thailand would be a threat to them. And when it's time for the next election, the Democratic Party won again. This time, Prince Sihanouk wanted to counterbalance the popularity of the Democratic Party. What he had done was asking the French to release Son Ngoc Tan, who was captured at the first point I mentioned before. After he came back, he still remained his idea to resist the French. And of course, he joined the Khmer Issarak, the resisting group that was formed by his own supporters. As things going on, the king or Prince Sihanouk, even though he was in the Liberal Party, he did not forget to serve his people by giving them the full independence from France. In 1953, he decided to go to France and directly ask them for the independence. Of course, who would agree? The France denied the king's will. However, the king threatened France by promoting the campaign against them. What the king had done was that he formed his headquarters in Siem Reap and fought the French. Also, the Khmer Issarak also disturbed the French a lot. Finally, their goal became successful. On the 3rd of July 1953, France declared that they were ready to talk about the independence. The negotiation went on. After all, the king could return to Phnom Penh, the capital city, with the independence of Cambodia. The Khmer Independence Day was announced on the 9th November 1953.
Let's take a break here. Are you hungry? It's cooking time.
Hello everybody, welcome to Food Around the World. Today, the topic is Cambodia, which located in Southeast Asia. As we got the order from the government to work from home, so I brought you guys a Cambodian dish, which is it's easy to do it at home and it doesn't take time that much. So, what is the famous Cambodian dish? Yes, it is amok. It is similar to Thai dish, which is hor mok, but amok is not that spicy like Thai does.
Alright, what do we need to make amok? Let's see. So first, you need Indian mulberry leaf and basil. Also, kaffir lime, shrimp paste, or in Thai it's called kapi, shallot, garlic, and finger roots. Next is lemongrass, dry chili, roasted beans, and coriander. And the part of the fish that we use is freshwater fish. The last two things are mortar, which to make a curry paste, and banana leaf, which we have to make it in the bowl to put the amok in it. First, you need to scrape the coconut to make the coconut milk, or you can use ready-made coconut milk, and soak dry chili in the water for a while until you chop all of your ingredients. Then cut out of the bottom of lemongrass and chop them into small pieces. After that, peel off the kaffir lime. And then chop into small pieces, and the ginger. Then 1 tablespoon of salt, put it on lemongrass. Chop the finger root and chop the shallot and also the coriander, but only the root. Put everything in a mortar and pound. Put roasted bean in a mortar and pound it until smooth. Add coconut milk into curry to make the texture more liquid. Then add fish and stir it. Add fish sauce and stir again, but don't stir that long, just for the curry paste and fish are mixed. Pick the basil and Indian mulberry leaf into pieces. Then cut the kaffir lime leaf into small pieces for topping. Put the leaf that we already picked into a banana leaf and add amok in it. And then we go for steam.
Put your hand in mine. You know that I want to be with you all the time.
Let's continue to our journey.
The Cold War 1945 until 1991 was a conflict between the democracy of the Western world, which are the United States, and the communist countries, which are the Soviet Union and their allies. These two countries became known as the superpower. Although the two superpowers never officially declared war on each other, they fought indirectly in proxy wars, the arms race, and the space race. Even though they did not declare war on each other, but it links to the domino theory based on the Truman Doctrine. The theory held the idea that if Soviet communism was able to spread into a single country, then it had the potential to spread to all of the other surrounding countries, including Cambodia. Therefore, after the Cold War ended, the communists won and dominated Cambodia. Also, the Cold War between the communists and the democracy ended. Everyone thinks that the war is over and peace will come on, but not at all. During that time, the Khmer Rouge swept everyone into the countryside. People had to live without food. A lot of illness were widespread. The Khmer Rouge also destroyed temples, markets, and the school. The impact of the Cold War also caused the economic and the social condition of Cambodia. during the year of 1965, which resulted in extreme decline. A lot of political turmoil in the country that makes students and people come out to protest the government. April 17, 1975, this had been a turning point because even though the Khmer Republic and the South had tried to help fight off the Khmer route, it was already a loss when the US had pulled out by then. So when the Khmer route had gained control, they had brought at least 2 million deaths over 4 years of being in control of Phnom Penh and other cities during their regime. The Cambodian-Vietnamese War was an armed conflict between the Socialist Republic of Vietnam and the Democratic Cambodia. The war began with the isolated clashes along the land and the maritime boundaries of Vietnam and Cambodia. During Vietnam War in May 1975, the newly formed Democratic Cambodia, dominated by the Khmer route, began attacking Vietnam, beginning with an attack of the Vietnamese island of Pho Quoc. In spite of fighting, the leader of reunified Vietnam and Cambodia made several public diplomatic exchanges throughout 1976 to highlight the supposedly strong relation between them. However, behind the scenes, Cambodian leaders continue to fear what they perceive as Vietnamese expansionism. Therefore, on the 30th April 1977, the Khmer route launched a major military attack on Vietnam. So Vietnam launched a retaliatory strike at the end of the 1977 in an attempt to force the Cambodian government to negotiate. But in January 1978, the Vietnamese military withdrew because their political objective had not been achieved. The Khmer route remained unwilling to negotiate with them. By the end of 1978, Vietnamese leaders decided to remove the Khmer route, perceiving Khmer route as being pro-Chinese and seemed to be opposed toward Vietnam. On 25 December 1978, 150,000 troops invaded Cambodia. They launched a full-scale invasion of Cambodia and subsequently occupied the country and ended the Khmer route from power. On the 8th January 1979, the pro-Vietnamese People's Republic of the Cambodia, or the PRK, was established. It was a group of the Cambodian communists dissatisfied with the Khmer route after the overthrow of the Democratic Cambodia. Behind the scenes, Prime Minister Hun Sen of the People's Republic of Cambodia, or the PRK, begins peace talks under diplomatic and economic pressure from international community. The Vietnamese government implement a series of economic and foreign policy reform, which led to their withdrawal from Cambodia in September 1989.
Some more fun fact for you. Let's go to watch it.
Hello? Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Thank you, Min. Hi, guys. Since I'm taking part of the tourist attractions, so today I'm gonna take you guys to the most famous Buddhist temple in Cambodia. Right now, I am in the wood beside the temple. Okay, so let me give you a brief history of this temple first. This temple called the Angkor Wat, which is located to the northern Cambodia, and it has the areas of 400 acres. Actually, it is known as the largest religious place in the world. How amazing is it, right? And the name of it, the Angkor, could be translated from Khmer to English word as the capital city. And when it combines with the Thai word Wat, the full name will call the temple city. So you cannot imagine how big this is, right? So not to waste our time, let's go. It cannot be denied that several religious monuments had been abandoned by the people. The Angkor Wat would also have fallen into disuse and disrepair for a while. However, it was rediscovered by Henry Mulholt, a French explorer who claimed by himself that this historical site was very huge. When talking about its design, Angkor Wat was designed to be the home of gods, or in other words, it was built to represent Mount Meru, as according to Hindu and Buddhist faith. Angkor Wat was built with sandstone blocks, also the city's outer walls. The other structures were built from wood and other less durable materials. There are 5 towers, which all of them were designed to represent 5 peaks of Mount Meru. The highest one above the main shrine is approximately 70 feet tall, rising to the sky. The wall and the moat around these towers were also built to represent mountain ranges and sea around the Mount Meru. If described in detail, the wall is 15 feet high and surrounded by wide moat. Intentionally, it was built to prevent Khmer people and the city from invasions. The main entrance of the temple is the sandstone causeway. If talking about the area, Angkor Wat has more than 200 acres inside the temple itself, consisted of the city, the temple itself, and the emperor's palace. Wow! Unfortunately, in 18th century, the Angkor Wat was damaged from the forest overgrowth to earthquake to war. However, back then, when the French was occupying Cambodia, they attempted to establish commissions to restore the site for tourism purposes in the early 19th. As a result, the project was accomplished. In 1992, Angkor Wat was named as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Nowadays, this place becomes very well-known, in which the landmarks now can welcome about 500,000 visitors each year.
Welcome back. Let's continue our journey.
Well, the growing power of China also affected Cambodia too. Briefly mentioning how China became a powerful country in the modern day first. Based on the history, China had been rising up as the new world power since the world system, since the global capitalism in 1980s, that its country had been dominated by the world powers at that time. For example, Hong Kong was occupied by Britain up until 1997. Macau was occupied by Portugal up until 1999. Taiwan was also controlled by the US as the protectorate. To say, these colonies connected China for the full entry to the world system, even though the Soviet communism tried to stop them. It gave them the more powerful role in the later years. After 1980s, China grew their power more in various ways, such as bringing rural people to be cheap laborers in the capital city. They had their only goal, which is not to go back to the 100 years ago situation, which they were dominated by the other nations. On the other hand, the Communist Party actually tried to restore their great position. Before we get to the point, I want to mention more of the argument of the growing power of China. In the international scale, there was a big debate which claiming about China rising as the third world development. However, some others argue that this is the example of the rising imperial power competing with the US. In the US, there's also increasingly a consensus between the two capitalist parties that the rising of China is a threat to the American imperial power. So, what do you think? As I already mentioned about the growing power of China and the argument towards that issue. Now, we are going to explore on the issue of how the growing power of China becoming a threat to Cambodia, or how does it affect Cambodia and in what way. Before that, I'm going to mention the history part first, then narrow down to the specific perspectives of the growing power of China in Cambodia, so that you know some history when I get through those points. Back in the past, during 1958, 5 years after Cambodia gained its independence, King Norodom Sihanouk, or the chief of the state, formally created the connection with the Communist China. To explain, the The Cambodia once tried to maintain the neutrality among the US, Soviet Union, and Vietnam. However, it later renounced the aid from the US and turned to indirectly support the Communist China. For China, Cambodia was the stable base for its growing power in the Southeast Asia. They became like friends. However, during the period of Sihanouk, there was the Cambodian Civil War happen. It was fought between the Khmer Rouge, the communist group who ran against Sihanouk, and the Khmer Republic. This civil war broke a tie between China and Cambodia for a while, because China, of course, supported Khmer Rouge. However, they came back together again. To specifically mention the growing power of China in Cambodia from this point, it can be separated into three aspects: political and diplomatic, military, and economic. In diplomatic perspective, as I briefly mentioned in the previous slide, China and Cambodia collaborated since 1958, in which they enhanced the bilateral relationships among each other and later developed to the more of the cooperation in 2010. As I told you that they act like friends. They traded with each other and it made Cambodia gain a lot of benefits from trading with China because China is a powerful country. To say, from diplomatic agreement between them, it boosts the economic sectors for both countries until these past years. Moving on to military aspect, with good relations with King Sihanouk, China also supported the Khmer Rouge during the Cambodian Civil War, even though the idea of these two contradicted. This seems to be nonsense, but it can be said that China only cared about who would help them maintain its role in the Cambodian territory as a major power. For example, they sent some supports such as troops, vehicles, and police, since the Vietnamese didn't agree to withdraw from Cambodia during that time. Yes, of course Vietnam had a little involved here, but I'm not going to mention that much. The economic aspect gets a little involved in the neutrality of Cambodia, which I mentioned before. This term, neutrality, is the policy by Cambodia that they try to gain economic support from the countries such as the United States, France, and also China. As I said, it failed due to some extent during the Cambodian Civil War and began to grow again in 1991, that Cambodia was open for the foreign investments, which China invests quite a lot here. Economic in Cambodia grew more and more because of China, that in 2006, the exchange trades accounted for $732 million.
Cambodia and the United Kingdom has a good bilateral relationship for decades. In 1953, they constructed the diplomatic relation. After that, Cambodia achieved the independence from France. The UK was considered as the first country to advocate the human rights in Cambodia War in 1978. Cambodia and the UK still cooperate together, as in 2019, Cambodia and the UK established a thriving relation by increasing and supporting the demand for Cambodia products in the UK. Most of the Cambodia's products are garments, footwear, meal rice, and bicycles. The bilateral trade grew from 500 million in 2012 to over 1 billion in 2018 and will gradually continue to rise in the near future. The Cambodia Embassy is located in London, while the UK Embassy is located in Phnom Penh. These two embassies aim to maintain the relationship and improve the relation between Cambodia and the United Kingdom. The UK promotes STEM education, human rights and good governance, climate change, and child protection in Cambodia. Moreover, they provide the advices and financial support for Cambodia business with the UK as well. Therefore, these things create an incredible relationship between the United Kingdom and Cambodia. Both UK and Cambodia influence and rely on each other. Not only UK rely on the imported goods from Cambodia, but also Cambodia rely on the UK to have increasing the economy. However, the Brexit situation in the UK affects Cambodia's economy not more or less in somehow as well. Moving on to America, the relationship between Cambodia and the US is very tightened, since they established that relation for such a long time. as everyone knows that the US supported democracy. Therefore, during the Cambodian War, the US came to assist Cambodia to combat with the terrorism, construct the democracy institutions, encourage and promote human rights, provide the economic development, eliminate the corruption, and help to bring justice to Cambodian people as well. In terms of economic, the United States believed that Cambodia was on the way to democracy. Therefore, in 1933, in July, the Secretary of State Baron Christopher presented Hun Sen and Prince Norodom as a Cambodia co-premiers and as the support guarantors of the United Nations to building investment in the country. After that, they keep doing business together. Moreover, in 1955 and 1963, the United States also provided $409.6 million for economic aid and $83.7 million for military assistance. Moving on to the crisis point in 2019. There was a rise of tension between Southeast Asian nations and the United States because China and Cambodia secretly made a military deal. This caused a risk in terms of the relationship between Cambodia and the US because the US is in harmonious with China. Nevertheless, these two countries attempted to revive their relationship anyway. In December 2020, the US representative delivered two letters from the US President Donald Trump to Hun Sen. The first was the invitation to the Special US-Asian Summit in 2020, and the second mainly focused only on the significance of bilateral ties. After that, Hun Sen enthusiastically accepted to Trump's summit initiative, as he extremely believed that this meeting would enhance the relation between Asia and the United States.